This is a follow-up video to the previous video in which I plotted a large data set. It was 2,500 files, which correspond to 2,500 simulations. And in that video, we saw that actually only the very lower left-hand corner showed any real actual change in the total population, whereas the rest of it actually doesn't really change that much, because it seems like, based off of these simulations, once the initial bacteria A and initial bacteria B, which correspond to the initial bacteria 1 and initial bacteria 2 in the INDISIM2 model, once they reach a certain level value, it doesn't increase anymore. It just sort of mostly remains the same. It decreases a little bit, but I mean, doesn't really change. So this time we're going to look at a smaller area of that combination space. And just to give you an idea, I didn't cover this in the last video, but this is the actual code. And here is actually the part that writes the input file. If the input file is not present, it'll actually create it for you. Otherwise, if it is present, it'll actually read it in, and this is the part that's reading in from the file. Once it's read into the file, it will create a unique directory, and based off of the month, day, year, hour, minute, second, and then it'll proceed to calculate the simulations with all the parameters you've set and increment the parameters you've set, the number of times you want to increment them with the ticks and everything that you would need. So let's look at this data. This is the scatter plot. Again, exactly the same. It's just that's a smaller section of the original space we were looking at, and as you can see, it's very similar. I mean, it's the same. Again, I don't know what is causing this. I'm not going to even speculate on that at this point. I don't know enough about it. I'll have to actually spend more time looking at it. But it is recreating the exact same trend in this data. And of course, the heat map just literally depicts the same thing. It shows us that it really is a small space. It really, I mean, from this very lower left-hand corner, you can see, I mean, if we turn this up like this, you can see this maps exactly to it, right? Everything here is right around in the 4,000s, 40,000 range. And starting in this is the lowest point, the lowest values in this data occur in this range right here, where initial bacteria A is right around somewhere between 1 and 5, or actually 2 and 5, and initial bacteria B is sort of in that same small range. And so if you go in either direction, eventually it increases in either direction of either one. It increases. Very interesting stuff.